the final goal is to eradicate humanity as we know it. Once you understand the final destination, it becomes much easier to look back and identify the psychological conditioning, the biological tampering, the cultural grooming, and the educational prepping that we have been subjected to for decades in preparation to making us accept a post-human future. It takes a lot of physical and psychological abuse to get an intelligent species like ours to agree to its own extinction. Most, if not all, that has transcended in the last 60 years was designed to get us closer to accepting such a dystopian reality. Whether you care to accept it or not, we live in a hyper-controlled matrix where our perception of reality is meticulously planned, managed, and executed in order to control and steer us in whichever direction they wish. And the direction is a post-human world. For this, they first needed to destabilize, dehumanize, and demoralize humanity through every means possible. The destruction of the nuclear family, children being indoctrinated by the state, abortion, the eradication of God and spirituality from education, life in megacities and away from nature, toxic food, air and water, social media, replacing real human connection and interaction, engineered financial crisis and taxation, endless wars and massive migration, stress, anxiety, depression, drugs and alcohol, constant fear-mongering, moral relativism as the new religion, and I could go on and on about how humanity has been influenced and forced to move away from all the things that give us strength, security, purpose, and meaning. A weak, immoral, disconnected, ignorant, and unhealthy population is an easy target for the next stage, the creation of an entire generation of androgynous beings. Masculinity is under attack psychologically, culturally, and biologically. Women are being replaced in sports, entertainment, and politics by men pretending to be women. And children are being indoctrinated at school to think that gender is a choice. The transgender movement is not a grassroots movement. It comes from the top. It has nothing to do with people's freedom of expression, sexuality, or civil rights. It's an evil psyop with a clear agenda to get us closer to transhumanism by making us question the most fundamental notion of human identity, our gender. If you don't know who you are, if you already identify as a hybrid between a man and a woman, you will be easily convinced to become a hybrid between human and machine. Gender ideology is the 2 + 2 = 5 from George Orwell's 1984 dystopian novel. It's the final test to see whether we will follow the most absurd party line towards our own extinction. But 2 + 2 = 4. And no matter how you choose to dress, call yourself, or change your physique, will not change that. The sad reality, though, is that in the gaslighting process to get us closer to a post-human future, they have mentally and physically harmed an increasing number of children and young people, and it's only getting worse. This must be stopped.
This looks awfully complex, doesn't it? And if it does, that's good, because every one of these red arrows shows HIV in the spike protein. This work comes from Luc Montagnier. Dr. Montagnier is the premier virologist in Paris, France. Dr. Montagnier got the Nobel Prize for identifying HIV. So if there's anybody on planet Earth who ought to be able to tell you that HIV exists in this spike protein, that's the man. And oh look, where he used to be professor and chair at, that's been deleted from the internet as well. That's the same place that Zhang Li presented and now got wiped off the face of the internet and off the face of the planet. Dr. Montagnier identified 18 RNA fragments that match HIV and SIV. This is simian, or monkey, grade 8, immune deficiency virus. If you look at it, remember I told you about PRRA? That's 4 amino acids, and every amino acid requires 3 nucleotides. That's 12, right? 12 nucleotides. Mutations occur 1 nucleotide at a time, not 12. Okay? That's an insert. If you think that's bad, look at the HIV insert. 590 amino acids or 1,770 nucleotide bases that match HIV-1. Now, understanding that mutations occur 1 nucleotide at a time, scientifically, I'd like somebody to justify to me how that's possibly a mutation. That doesn't happen. This is the man who defines it. Every one of these red arrows and every one of these are the nucleotides that match HIV. That's why there's so much up there. It's like the funding. It's not one. It's not just a little. It's a lot.
Banks apparently, as I heard from my sources, have already fully developed the final stage of CBDC. I mean, it comes in stages initially, likely through your mobile phone, but that's only an intermediate step. And the final stage is, it's small, and it's the size of a grain of rice. Now, why is that?
Clip 2, move on.
And that grain of rice is your entire wallet, or?
Yes, it's your digital ID, your wallet, can be your passport, your key.
Clip 3.
Well, why suddenly now? Because now we have the technology for the microchip implant.
Tell us.
And so in 2017, Bill Gates came out and said that universal basic income is a good idea, but it's too early to introduce it. Wow. Now, what was still missing? So we had the technology for the microchip implant, but what was missing was the digital ID hadn't been introduced.
That's it.
Now, this is where this whole COVID agenda had become very useful.
So now, if you